Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some of these coins. Basically just Bitcoin, I suppose. Just Bitcoin. So long-term time frame, I suppose, is exactly the same as we've said for ages, which is that, provided we're above this green 50 exponential on the weekly, everything's fine. And even if we dip below it, it's okay. But closing candle bodies below it is a bit of a problem. And we just look back in history, just very briefly. I know we talk about this all the time, but in history, we have big moves up and we come down to test it. We come down to test it. Even when the bubble pops, we test it and we have big bounces from it, and then obviously when we break down below it, then it is bear market. We're halfway through at that point of a bear market, but it's basically bear market confirmed at this stage. Definitely here would be bear market confirmed, and that's fine, because at the moment we've not broken down and closed below there yet. That's fine. So yes, we could still be in the bubble pop, but I honestly don't think we are. I think this is basically going to reaccumulate around this zone, and that would be perfectly normal, perfectly fitting with the way that this chart's worked in the past. So that is a long-term time frames, as we've been talking about for a long period of time. It's exactly the same. There's not really any reason to go in any detail about that. I suppose what we're thinking about now that we've made another push towards the 200 exponential is that where do we go from here? I mean, what are we expecting? Now, I know that yesterday I put a video on saying, yeah, from here we could go down to 28,000, and that is technically true. I suppose it's a bit clickbaity, but there's rhythm and reason to why I even said that. It's basically because we are in what would be a giant accumulation zone. First accumulation top would be just short of 50,000, the breakdown point over here. So candle bodies and big breakdowns from there. That would be the absolute top. We've got a lot of reason to think between 48,000, 50,000 would be the top of this accumulation range. And again, when we think about that, if we're accumulating from as low as 28,000 to as much as 50,000, it does make you think about, if this is the accumulation range, which is enormous, close to 100% range from the bottom to the top, then what could what could become of Bitcoin if this is accumulating at this level? And we think about, in crypto especially, when we accumulate for a period of time, to see a 2 or a 3x from the top of that accumulation zone is quite a reasonable expectation, which would mean that we would be thinking of having a Bitcoin between $100,000 to $200,000, once the high is put in. That's kind of the idea that it lends itself to. I mean, it's I know people like to put price predictions on things. I don't think it's really possible, but it's definitely something to think about. But anyway, let's get back to the chat. So we're thinking more along the lines of what's going on in the short term. And even though yesterday's video is relevant still, and over the next few months, and this is we are talking at least another month's worth of this sideways action, which is what this is, sideways from 50,000 to 28,000, but within a smaller range is where we're going to be playing the majority of this price action. Then now what we've actually seen is we've put in on the lowest term time frames, we've actually put in a higher high, which is good. So what we'll be looking for now, I suppose, is a higher low, and I don't think it's quite ready for doing something similar, quite along those lines. But if we were to be thinking about something like that, all we really need to do is close a candle body above 36,000 really. But if we think about this in terms of support and resistance, there is a lot of wickage and things going on around this level, 37,500. You can see that a lot of candle bodies were closing around here, whether they be bullish or bearish. We've got a lot of resistance and support around this level. So you'd like to think that if we did come down, and if this was going to start to reaccumulate at a higher level, which it can do, it doesn't have to be at the lower levels, it can reaccumulate at higher levels, then maybe we could think about that level as a support. Now, if that does break down, we do have just below us several moving averages of some significance. But also, there are some other signs that look quite good. We are getting a conversion baseline cross. I know it's beneath the cloud and there's no other aspect of this which lends itself to a continuation of a trend, but it is a cross all the same. At the end of the day, it's still exactly the same situation as it has been for weeks now. That I expect that this is generally the low area. I'm not saying that we can't have a wick down a little bit further to the upper 20s. That's definitely possible. Remember, I'm expecting accumulation to take place over a period of at least another month, maybe even 2. So a lot of things can happen in that, including another wick, to shake out the final few doubters, I suppose. that's it. We are, in my opinion, towards the top side of the medium side of the range. I know I said 50,000 would be the top, but generally speaking, we're looking at these moving averages roughly as support and resistance. This is pretty much the top of the daily chart. Bollinger Band is also the 200 exponential. It's more or less where I'd expect to see a rejection, at least on the first pass. If we do get another stab or another attempt up to this, it'll be about 42,500, maybe 44,000 max, which is where the 50 moving average is. But the overall direction of this chart is still not looking pretty good. I mean, if we think about it in terms of its posture, it's okay. It's not okay. I mean, it's pretty dangerous, but you know, it is shaping up to be more like an accumulation phase now. But we're still not quite there yet. What we want to see is these moving averages start to get closer, converge to each other, all of them. And this is what I'm saying is going to take time. We're likely to see price action in the cloud as well, which is technically a no trade zone, unless of course you're accumulating, you know, spot holding, investing. You know, you got to bite the bullet at some point. You got to take the plunge in at some point, if you really want to have skin in the game. But I do expect this to be a long, drawn out, boring process of sideways action. Sometimes we'll be extremely ecstatic. Sometimes we're going to be pretty depressed. Same old, same old. Look, there's nothing much to it. We'll flick over quickly just to the Bitcoin dominance chart, which again is making another move up, which is exactly what I expect. And I don't expect this to let up until we at least reach 52% dominance, maybe even 56, 57, where we get some tangible areas of resistance. So we had this zone back down here, you know, back in 2018 into 19. We also had this area here, which is where we're playing out from 2019 and onwards. And again, this was where the support was. You can only assume, I suppose, that the rejection would be here. I was expecting many supports to be on the way down, and we didn't get them. So that, you know, I have to accept that this chart could be a chart of extremes. And if it is a chart of extremes, then we have to expect the worst. But you know, I'm still holding plenty of altcoins. That's why I made that video yesterday. I've got plenty of altcoins, and that's fine. I'm happy with them. But blindly buying altcoins just because they're lower than they were yesterday, that's not really how I think about doing it. Think about buying things with strong fundamental value as well as decent charts and large market caps at this stage. Small cap coins, there's a time and a place for those, and it's not right now, definitely. Anyway, I'm going to leave it with you there. I'm doing the live stream tonight. I've changed them from they're going to be from Wednesdays to and Saturdays from now on, mainly because it would appear that, you know, that's what the most interesting football games are on there with the Euro Cup, you know. So I'm looking forward to it, especially Friday, Scotland versus England. I used to live in Scotland. My daughter was actually born in Scotland, so she's Scottish. So it's a special game. I don't want to be doing live streams with that kind of game going on. So that sort of thing doesn't happen very often. In fact, it hardly ever happens ever. So yeah, I've changed the live streams Wednesdays and Saturdays from now on. Anyway, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.